It's no secret that Tinseltown is in a bit of a state right now. With the Writers Guild of America and Screen Actors Guild members both going on strike, we've seen a halting of major productions indefinitely. For now, the movies and TV shows you love will continue to trundle out until the studios and streaming services run out of pre-prepared content.
Here's what we made earlier!
Or, they pay creatives a fair wage. But on the periphery, there is a weird subplot simmering, which is set to potentially shake the very foundations Hollywood filmmaking was built on. And it's entangled in the biggest summer blockbusters of 2023. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, the Barbie movie, and Chris Nolan's Oppenheimer all come out within just weeks of each other. And as journalist Mark Harris decried in his recent Twitter thread, it really is hard to overstate how these three movies underpin the key issues with Hollywood filmmaking right now. So welcome to Podcast Assemble, my name's Tommy, and here's why Hollywood needs these summer blockbusters to be massive successes. As Mark highlights, the movie industry at present is in crisis. Or at least it's in a bit of an awkward phase. The pandemic is still affecting the industry in some interesting and unforeseen ways. Off the back of the likes of Warner Brothers dumping a metric ton of content onto their streaming service Max, the big studios, in their haste to see any sort of profits, have inadvertently created an environment in which even $300 million blockbusters are seemingly releasing to streaming overnight.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant. No!
Just look at The Flash. Though, probably don't, it's really not good for your health. And furthermore, with no additional revenue coming in after the movie's been in cinemas, from the likes of DVD sales like in years gone by, unless your movie has a Marvel logo slapped across it, pretty much everything's a huge risk these days. The movie industry is at a tipping point. The landscape of celebrity and fame has changed, with traditional draws to the movie theatre experiences not quite reaching audiences the same way as in years gone by. When this is coupled with the fact that the medium budget movie has gone the way of the dodo, you can see why movie studios are more and more falling back on recognizable intellectual properties. Does this sound familiar to you? These days, every film seems to be either falling into one of two categories. They're either made on a shoestring budget, such as the likes of Blumhouse or even A24, who have quietly been building one of the most creative repertoires in cinema. Or the feature is vying for the title of most expensive movie ever made. The practices Hollywood was built on, coupled with the spiraling costs of blockbuster movies, has resulted in an unsustainable model. So with Mission Impossible already out, along with Barbie and Oppenheimer right there on the horizon, movie studio execs seem to be hopeful that this trio of features will be the catalyst for the revival of cinema. Now, complete transparency, I actually want these movies to be amazing and huge successes, though perhaps movie studios looking at them to answer questions relating to the broader issues of the industry might not offer long-term answers. As with the release of Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible looks set to be another all-action thrill ride from Tom Mapodda, real middle name, Cruise. I don't know about you, but I love Top Gun. It was a real feel-good throwback, and we even reviewed it over in our Podcast Assemble. Go check us out, I'll link it right here. But as Mark suggests, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is for the movies are back, baby audience, heavily relying on the star power of Cruise, along with the franchise, which has blown up off the back of how will he try and kill himself this time spectacles. Hell, I'd go as far as arguing Tom Cruise is probably one of the only true draws left in cinema. There's an outdated notion that the power of celebrity, no matter how old, can still save cinema. Tom Cruise is 61, guys. Let that sink in. As for Oppenheimer, the belief is that the director as the auteur can still bring audiences through the door. By placing a shit ton of money in the hands of our brightest and best, the inevitable spectacle created will surely be something that we simply can't miss. And if I'm being honest, this is the belief I most strongly align to, that creativity should win out. But it's likely that the execs will take completely the wrong lesson from this somehow. Where Mission Impossible and Oppenheimer rely on the power of the creative control, Barbie is, however, an entirely more cynical option. Barbie represents pretty much a straight-up capitalist view of the industry. in that it perpetuates the belief that anything with an existing IP, no matter how weird or left field, can be mined for content. Now, this isn't new, obviously, and just like the other two, I really want Barbie to succeed. I like everyone in it, and Greta Gerwig is a super interesting director. However, what it likely represents to a comically greedy film executive is quite simple. Now to reiterate, I want these movies to be successful, much like Mark Harris, whose Twitter thread I've been mentioning I have linked below. And by all accounts, Mission Impossible 7 is doing pretty well at the box office, while the excitement for Barbenheimer is beginning to ramp up. However, in these films being successful, it's likely that movie execs will learn entirely the wrong lessons, and the cycle of toxic, unsustainable practices may continue. I personally can't wait for the 2027 release of the Chris Nolan-directed Hot Wheels movie starring a 70-year-old Tom Cruise. But what we want to know is, what do you think? Do you agree with Mark Harris and my own sentiments around unsustainable movie-making practices? Are you going to see Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day? Let us know in the comments below. As mentioned, I've linked the original Twitter thread here for you too. I wanted to try something a little different with this, so let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed this video. And while you're there, feel free to drop us a like, share, and subscribe. I've also linked below our website, www.podcastassemble.com, where you can find all of our geeky content, including our regular podcast, Podcast Assemble, and lots more. Why not join us for more geek content? Thanks for popping by, guys. Tally ho!